Hello, Teresa, and welcome to this 20-minute chart overview. So within this chart overview session, I'm going to be looking into three main areas. The first area is your true self. So this is your unique self, how unique you are compared to anyone else and any other projector. This is coming from the colored in areas of your chart, your definition. I will then be looking into your not self. So this is where your conditioning lies, your challenges, your vulnerabilities, your defense mechanisms. But it's also where your wisdom can lie, your lessons in life, and the permissions that you can gain from these centers. So that will be looking into the white open spaces within your chart. After that, I'll be looking into your strategy and authority. So how we interrupt that chatter of the mind, of that not self mind, how we interrupt it with strategy and authority so you can align back to your unique self and so you can navigate life. So let's dive in. So from your chart, we can see that you are a 3-5 splenic projector. You also have a simple split or a small split definition within your chart. Now, what does this mean, plus what we can see within the chart? Well, first of all, the biggest piece, we can see that you are a projector. And projectors have this focused and absorbing aura, very interested in other people. The curiosity about who that person is, that question of who is that person? Here to experience that feeling of success, which isn't material, it's a feeling of contentment. However, we'll be guided by that feeling of bitterness, which says you're coming off track. So for you as this projector who's here to see others, to understand others, who absorbs information from others through those open centers that you have, this is where your guidance lies, that projector guidance ability. Now, specifically for you, you have 4 defined centers. So we have the defined root, the defined splenic, the defined G, and the defined throat. Now, as this projector guide, there is a real drive here to instinctively guide through your communications, to instinctively guide how we can transform through your inspiring, creative leadership. For you, there is this pressure to be in the right groups, and you can instinctively see how we can transform something in a very creative way. Picking up all this information about people and seeing truly how the energy is moving, what people are feeling, what people are thinking, and being able to empower or disempower a creative movement forwards. Now, I'm sure within your chart, well, from seeing your chart, you might not fully know what you're going to say, but there is a consistency in how you speak. There is a unique way that you express yourself, a unique way that you show up in the world. And you're here to contribute your inspiring, instinctive ways of thinking and what you are believing in. Here to offer guidance and leadership when invited into those leadership roles. Speaking about those things which you remember and what you're feeling. Taking time for you and then realizing, okay, instinctively, this is the direction in which we need to go in. For you, there's this fear of, well, what if the thing that I'm trying to transform fails? And it's a complete and utter fear of failure. And that fear is your awareness. Am I taking on too much? Is everything just going to crumble? But there's an instinct within you that just says that I'm still driven. I instinctively know that this is what I need to transform. And you do so in such a different individual way than anyone else could guide as well. So your guidance is incredibly individual. Through this pulse of creativity, through this pulse of this is where we're going. And you're doing it because it feels right within yourself, not just for everyone. This is your instinctive individual guidance of communicating while taking your group along with you. But your essence, your key, the thing that grounds you here is your ability to feel into others, to see others, to not get caught up in your own mind. And through those correct invitations, which we'll speak about in a little bit, you experience this projector success, this inner contentment, not monetary, not fame, fortune, none of this. That might be a side effect, but that's not where we get our success feeling from. Through the right invitations and accepting the correct invitations, that feeling of success that you have been seen and recognized for your guidance, for your ability to empower or disempower people with your creative leadership, with your contribution you make to your groups of people based on your instinctual knowing. But never trying to force this. You don't need to force a transformation to happen. You don't need to force your inspiring contributions to society. Okay. So you're here for that, your instinctive communications, your inspiring, creative leadership, the role model element of that. The way that you try things and you embody things, you learn from being within those experiences, through trying it out and embodying those lessons, through trialing and erroring, you're able to figure out or work out if something is going to transform or not, to transcend those fears within you. Now, although we know from this chart that you are here to experience that projector success through recognition, through your ability to guide people with those inspiring communications, those contributions that you're having within those groups to transform those group situations, to transform businesses, to transform products, whatever it's going to be, your mind will be talking to you and taking you off track. So when we look into your not self, the biggest point of conditioning for you as a simple split or a small split definition is the 57th gate. So this 57th gate being here within the chart, that 57th gate, we go back, here we go. That 57th gate being in the now, instinctual, intuitive knowing in the now. So your mind might be saying, look, for me to be successful, for me to be seen as a great guide, I need to perfect the process. I need to perfect my way of doing things. I need to be more present. I need to be more instinctual. I need to work on my instinctual abilities. I need to instinctively know that I'm doing it in my way. I need to get that process perfected. And when we partner that with the narratives of those open centers, so you have 5 open centers within your chart. You've got your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your ajna, and your head. So when we partner these narratives, I've got to keep moving. I've got to keep doing. I've got to initiate and force something to happen. Because I'm certain if I don't force something to happen, if I don't find my way of doing things, if I don't perfect this process, if I don't become more instinctual and intuitive, I'm certain I will let myself down. I'm certain I will not find success. And I'm basing that on, well, I remember how things were and it was the worst thing ever. And I don't want to do that again. Feeling overwhelmed by the emotions and the energy, but still feeling like you got to push through. Be the last one in the office, be the last one on the phone call, not wanting to hang up. Trying to act on all of these ideas and these unknowable things. You get a lot of inspiration coming through and it's like, I want to find the answer and I've got to keep pushing because this idea, if I find the answer, if I can find that I can initiate this business, I can start this thing, this business, I'm certain is the key to my success. And if I just get a few more qualifications and I keep pushing and keep going, and I try to keep up with everyone else. That's where I'll find my success. And what we find is, as a projector, it's only going to lead to bitterness. And I always like to say bitterness is that signpost for you to go, oh, what am I forcing? What am I pushing? What am I thinking needs to happen? Where is my energy escaping? I'm feeling bitter because something isn't right in the energetic contracts here. Was there an invitation? So let's go through these centers one by one so we can get some of these thematics, some of these reflective questions. Okay, some of the wisdoms. So we'll start actually with the solar plexus. So you have two centers that are completely open, and the three other ones are undefined, but your solar plexus is completely open, and so is your heart. So we'll start with the solar plexus. The solar plexus is our emotional awareness center. And for us, with this completely open, we are amplifying and distorting emotions. On a day-to-day basis, we are picking up emotional energy around us, and we are amplifying and distorting that. So for you, it's walking into a room and feeling an emotion and being like, oh my gosh, I'm just in the worst mood ever, and clinging on to that. And because of the amplification and feeling these emotions stronger than some other people are feeling them, the lows feel very low and the highs feel very high. So the not self here is trying to avoid truth and conflict. It's avoiding the emotional lows, clinging to the emotional highs, trying to chase happiness, trying to avoid despair and pain. When we know this is the full spectrum of emotion, and your wisdom is to see this, to learn this, to not cling to any of these things. That not self of not wanting to have confrontation or arguments, things like that, is so we don't cause emotional upset in other people. This is where people pleasing can play out. So for you, the question is, am I trying to avoid truth and conflict? And if I am, the wisdom to learn here is sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's completely necessary to have these conversations, even if they hurt someone's feelings. If our guidance system says to go with that, which we'll speak about. This heart center, the ego, the willpower, this heart center is about self-worth, self-value, material success. With it completely open, there's a lot of wisdom to learn about the fact that we are innately worthy, that we don't have to do anything to prove to ourselves that we are worthy of whatever it is, especially when it comes through your invitations. So here, in the not self, we are trying to prove ourselves to ourselves and to prove ourselves to other people. And there's a lot of conditional statements within that heart center. Well, for me to do this, I need another qualification. I've got to keep taking these qualifications, more of these certificates. Because if I take it, then I'll prove to myself that I'm worthy of the clients, or I'm worthy of the pay rise. And within this center being undefined like this, being completely open, we can accept less than we deserve, especially financially, materially. So we can accept contracts that are paid less than we deserve, or just volunteer the whole time. So within this, becoming aware of those conditional statements, well, for me to get the partner, for me to get the friends, for me to get, it's looking at what our mind is saying we need to get before we get this. But learning that we are innately worthy, and the people that are here for us recognize us for our unique self and invite us into situations where we don't need to prove ourselves unnecessarily. So we're learning how to, or when to, prove ourselves, and we don't need to. We are innately worthy. We are innately different and unique than everyone else. And we're seeing who recognizes that within us. Now, this sacral center is this generator motor. And as a projector, we don't have this, and that's okay. You do have energy within your chart that comes from the root center, but this is inconsistent energy. Generators have a consistent energy motor. So for us as projectors, we need to learn our energy boundaries. How much energy can we exert before we're tired? You are likely trying to keep up with everyone else around you. The question here is not, well, do you know when enough is enough? So you're keeping on, doing as much as you can, being as productive as you can, so that you can keep up with what society says is normal. And for us projectors, it burns us out. So the energetic boundaries, our energy boundaries, come in when we start learning how much energy we have. Not waiting until we burn out before we stop, but incorporating rest into our daily cycle, into our weekly cycles. Preempting and stepping out when we need to rest. Taking time in your own auric energy to feel into how tired you are, because we're amplifying this all day, which is why we could be the last ones in the office, the last ones with our friends, not wanting something to end. So learning about our energetic boundaries is the wisdom here. We have the head center. This is our inspiration center. This is receiving pressure from outside of us to think. There's lots of inspiration coming through, lots of questions coming through, like, what is this? And why is this? And what if this happens? And why is this? And we feel this pressure building up, so we act on it. So we can go down rabbit holes and overthink and feel like we have to action these thoughts. The question here is, am I thinking of things that don't matter? And we have to allow the thoughts to pass. That's the wisdom, to allow the thoughts to pass rather than acting upon those thoughts all the time. This is where our energy can escape from. And for you, this energy comes through this head center and down into the ajna center. And this ajna center is about conceptualizing and understanding and making sense of the world. So you're thinking about all these things that don't matter, and they're coming down here for you to become certain. So the not self here is feeling like you have to be certain. If we partner it with the heart, for example, this is feeling like you need to prove that you are certain about this thought that does not matter, and you've got to keep going, regardless of how overwhelming it is, because you're trying to chase this high, avoiding the low, not disappointing people. So with this ajna or mind center, the question is, am I trying to be certain? Your wisdom is you can see all these different ways of thinking, all these different opinions, all these different ideas, and we need people who can see that. So when you have this, I need to be certain, it comes from a fear of not knowing what you think. With that split definition, it's going to take you a bit of time to process fully. So for you, it's being able to say, look, I don't know right now. And that could be really freeing. So we've gone through your true self. We've gone through your not self. Now, what do we do about that? Well, for you to align back to this unique self on a day-to-day basis, it's about using strategy and authority. And as a projector, that is waiting for the invitation. So invitation, which is our strategy, is a way of interrupting the mind, saying, I need to initiate this, I need to find out the answer to this, I must do this, all of these things we were just speaking about. And the invitation is how we know there is a point of navigation, how we know that we've got to decide something. An invitation is a point of recognition where someone has recognized you for you, your ability to be that creative leader who has this communication, this contribution that you're here to do, this unique way of presenting yourself, this instinctive guidance that you're here to offer, this really driven instinctive guidance. At that moment when you're invited, will you take this job, will you come into this relationship, whatever the invitation is, that's when you decide. And for you and for everyone else, it's not the mind that decides. It's not pros and cons and fors and against. For you, it's your splenic authority. That splenic authority is a moment-to-moment temperature check of, is this right for me? Will I do this invitation? And it's almost like a gut instinct. It is an instinctual guidance. It will tell you in that moment. So a little whisper, it takes a bit of time to tune into this voice. It's there to keep you safe and well. So in that moment when you receive that invitation, it's feeling in, what was my first gut instinct here? And if it's a no, it's walking away, not going into that invitation. There will be no words attached to this. So if it's like, no, because this person's not nice, no, because, or yes, because it's going to lead to this promotion, this is how we know the mind has got involved. All the reasons, all the words are from the mind. Okay. So Teresa, I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you an overview into your chart, how unique you are than anyone else, what it means to be a projector, as well as how different you are as this specific type of projector, how your mind is taking you off track, and how you can experiment. So I wish you all the best on your experiment and hope to speak to you again soon.